Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm really excited to have my good friend David Olds here today. We're going to be talking about Dispo and kind of really how to dominate it. Obviously, the market's been hot the last several years, and Dispo was an afterthought for most people because they were making so much money. But the reality is the market has shifted, your cheese has moved, and Dispo is important again. Not that it never was, but people just got a little bit lazy. So we're going to take a deep dive today into how to build a Dispo team and how to build processes to help you dominate. Professional real estate investors know that it's not really about the real estate. In fact, real estate is just a vehicle to freedom. A group of over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors from across the country meet several times a year at the InvestorFuel Real Estate Mastermind to share ideas on how to strengthen each other's businesses, but also to come together as friends and build more fulfilling lives for all of those around us. On today's show, we're going to continue our conversation of fueling our businesses and fueling our lives. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Hey, David, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'll be honest, I've listened and watched for a long time, so I'm super honored to be here. And yeah, I'm very excited.
Excited to have you here. And you're kind of the king of Dispo. And so excited to get some nuggets here and some takeaways, because as I just said, a lot of people, this was like just something you do when you find a big juicy deal. And now, you know, obviously a lot of cash buyers, a lot of the institutional folks have gone away. And so Dispo is a critical component. I'll say again, I know you've been through this before. You and I started around the same time.
Right.
I actually just saw a post today of something from 2010 or something. Because I started in 2008. I think you started a little bit before me.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we just sold another property in like 2 days. All these people are afraid, but we're just kind of going through the motions. And the reality is when I started in 2008, we didn't have bad habits from 2005 and 6 or whatever. So we never really had a problem. We were scrappy and working hard from the beginning. And so I kind of credit timing to that. But anyway, before we jump in, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, that's when I started in real estate too. My background, I grew up in Boston. I went to college. I have a degree in criminal justice, and I was never going to be the guy who was running the obstacle course for the police or FBI test. So, I went through college. I worked my way through paying my own way in retail stores. So that actually, that marketing and sales that I learned there really helped me when we got into investing. But I was in Boston, moved to Florida in 1993, got married in 2001, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like I think we've talked about at the last event. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to meet Robert Kiyosaki, which was, meeting one of the gods of real estate, right? But so my wife and I, we bought our first house in 2002, had no idea why we were buying it from Wells Fargo. My realtor, had to explain to me, hey, dummy, it's a foreclosure. I'm like, what's a foreclosure? I don't know. But anyways, we got started in real estate. And back then it was kind of crazy. So we were rehabbers. And, the market crashed in Florida. It was really, really bad. In 2008, my wife lost her job. She worked for a large custom home builder. I worked for 84 Lumber and Pro Build as a salesman. So, it was literally just like a house of cards just collapsed on us. Yeah. And we relocated to Chattanooga to do real estate. And, all of a sudden, like everything had changed. There was no, you couldn't wholesale and sell to a rehabber because the banks weren't lending money. They were very busy taking back properties, not lending out new money. Right. So, our wholesale business, we had to adjust and figure things out very quickly. And, if your buyer's not a rehabber, well, then who's your buyer? Because there's no hedge funds, right? That hadn't come around yet. So our buyers turned out to be landlords. So, we again figured out very quickly, well, landlords aren't buying $300,000 houses in Chattanooga because they don't cash flow. What are they buying? We figured out how to pull that data, and they were buying houses in what some people would call the hood, right? Lower income areas, because they could buy them for, back then, $15,000, $20,000 cash flow for $600, $700 a month. And, we're grabbing them at $9,000, $10,000, $11,000 and just moving these houses like there was no tomorrow. But again, it was far worse than it is today. Today is still a cakewalk compared to what it was back then. But we had to get really good at dispositions. We had to learn how to go out and find the buyers who are buying in this area. Really, Facebook wasn't a thing back,
Yep.
back then. Where we sold deals? Craigslist. And
Yeah.
people laugh when I talk about Craigslist. There are 10 things that we do when we're selling a deal. We've got, sort of this process that we created. And one of them is Craigslist, and people laugh and snicker. And I'll say to them all the time, listen, who do you think is buying your properties? Guys like me, 45 to 60 years old. And this is where we used to go to find properties. So,
right.
It's a habit thing, right? I keep Craigslist up on my computer all the time looking for deals. We just figured out and kind of cracked the code on how to do dispositions and do it, in the worst market ever. So as things got better in 2013, 14, 15, life was really great. And then It was awesome the last 2 or 3 years. And when we had this shift, we had to kind of go back to our roots and make sure, hey, are we doing the thing? Because if you do the thing, it works. You just have to have a process. And, we were at InvestorFuel, which is amazing, by the way. And, a lot of wholesalers that have come out in the last couple of years, they don't know. They just would post to Facebook and boom, $40,000 assignment fee.
Because you could, right?
Well, you could, and I'm not knocking that. Listen, we would post there too. But when there's a market shift, and markets always go up and down, up and down. They always have, they always will.
Yeah.
There are different buyers, the buyers that kind of rode the wave and they got to the top, panic, and and they jump out. So we dip a little bit, and now new buyers are coming into the market. But the people that jumped out first, right? Hedge funds, kind of like the dumb money, right? Doctors, dentists, lawyers, people who just had $500,000 sitting in the bank. They'd buy a house. It would automatically appreciate with paint and carpet, $40,000, and then resell it. Well, when there's a change in the market, those people got spooked and, jumped out really quick. So now we have to go back and make sure that we're finding, the real buyers who kind of have been here all along.
Yeah. And there's also buyers that have been, the last couple of years, they were maybe sitting on the sidelines. So
Sure.
It's just kind of overheated. I'm just going to wait till there's a pop, the bubble pops or whatever, right? Which it hasn't popped, but it's just, when you find on this business, when you're around long enough, it's similar to the stock market investors in the sense that there's people that just change their exit strategies or sit on the sidelines and wait for opportunities. I mean, I heard some number recently, like Warren Buffett is sitting on some insane amount of money, and people think he's scared. And he's like, no, I'm just building my war chest for the opportunities that come along during a down market. There's real estate investors like that too, especially landlords. They're like, hey, some guys that have a big portfolio, they're like, I don't need to buy anything else right now, but if the opportunity comes along, I will. And they're waiting for a correction. And some of those people reemerged, right?
Yeah, and we're in that boat too. We have almost 100 rental properties, and we're both in these a million groups on Facebook, and everybody's waiting for a crash. I'm like, oh, me too, right? We want to go out and buy more properties, and maybe owner financed or cash or whatever it is. And I'm embarrassed to say this out loud, but I'm like, that wasn't really a crash. But if it was, I wish it had lasted longer.
Yeah.
Right. I think, what happened is, we had a correction in the market. The Fed, for whatever reason, they had to adjust the rates. But we're back, and where we're at today. What are we in March? Yeah, March. I think everybody realizes this is a new normal, and this is what it's going to be. And now everybody is just kind of, okay, this is it. We're going to get back in the market. And I heard an interesting stat not too long ago that said, and you probably know this, what the average interest rate over the last 50 years was. Have you heard this?
I don't know what it is over the last 50 years, but I know that this is kind of normal. This isn't some
7.7%. Yeah. So the days of the 2, 3, 4% interest, they're done. Just write that off. They're probably not coming back unless calamity happens and the government decides to slash them again. But that had never really been done before. So I remember when I bought my first house in 2002, whatever it was, and I had a 7% mortgage, and I thought I was the man.
Yeah.
So, I did just refi my house that we had built for, 2.5 or something. And thank God I did that. But this is normal. This is regular life. People have kind of started to accept that, and the market's starting to heat back up and keep going.
And one thing that's different too is during the last downturn, like you said, hard money lenders, there weren't as many like large national
Right.
hard money lenders. There was a lot of local people, regional people,
Mhm.
but the money literally went away and banks
It
stopped
did.
lending. And I think the hard money lenders now, they're pretty resilient. They're just making a spread. It's like
Mhm.
we got to raise rates up, but
Yeah.
the money still needs to go somewhere because
Right.
back in 2008, 9, 10, there wasn't as much institutional money in the
Mhm.
marketplace for investing. And so,
Right.
Tim Ayers was talking about this. He's like, this is different than last time. Last time there was no money to be had. Like lenders
Yeah.
said, check back with us in a couple of years. Like we're not lending right now. But
Right.
now rates just adjust. Like the money has to find a way. It's just
Yeah.
more expensive. Yeah.
It's interesting when, we were building up our wholesale business in 9, 10, and 11. One of the things that we wanted to provide was a source for funding. Well, nobody could lend in Tennessee. And I don't know if it was a regulation thing or what it was, but I talked to countless companies, big companies at the time, and nope, they just couldn't do it. And now, my God, there's RCN and, Longhorn. And there's just a million of these companies like that. So yeah, the money's out there and it's looking for a deal. Money always wants to be working.
Yep. Yep. So let's talk a little about finding buyers. So you just set up
Yeah.
a little bit ago, you relied on Craigslist. I can
Yeah.
tell you, I used to go to back then, there were tons, way more than there are now because of social media, probably of like physical RIA clubs. And in a market like Dallas, Fort Worth, there's almost 8 million
Yeah.
people here now. There were like 5 or 6 prominent big RIA clubs that would get hundreds of people per event. And I would just go there and just like fill my pockets with business cards
Yeah.
and put them on my buyers list.
Yeah.
If I got your card, you're going on my buyers list type thing,
Right.
right? Which wasn't the right way to do it either, but that was kind of my approach back then. But
Yeah.
I know you've got this a lot more buttoned up. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the right approach to
Sure.
find buyers and build a list.
Yeah, well, you just, as a general philosophy, we are on the mode of always building our buyers list as big as we can. I know there are some people that say, if you just get 10 buyers, you'll be fine. And honestly, I don't subscribe to that because one, those buyers are going to know that they're the only ones that you're sending the deal to, and you're going to turn out to be their employee. I've had people try that with us, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't pay more than $2,000 assignment fees." I'm like, "Well, this one's more,
Yeah.
so we're not going to do that." But yeah, we're trying to build that list as big as we can because here's the thing: that's how I throw our net out on the acquisition side, right? I want to pull in as many properties as I can. Now I'm going to cherry pick the stuff I want out of there, right? So if I buy something, but if I have 10 buyers and they're all going to say, what do they want? 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch houses, in a nice area. Well, what am I going to do when I get the duplex that's a 1-bedroom on each side, right? So if I've got that large buyers list and I've accumulated that and I want to capture every single buyer in the market, then I'm going to have a buyer for that property when it comes in, because I don't want my acquisitions guy to throw this lead away because we don't think we can sell it because we only have, buyers for 3-bedroom, 2-bath, in a nice area. So we're building that list as big as we can. As we're talking to these people, every person that calls in, hey, Mike, fantastic. Tell me what you're buying. What did you buy last year? What's your goal for this year? How are you funding it? We're trying to build our database so that when a property comes in and we've contracted it and it's the blue house on the red hill with the purple door, I can go into my CRM and go, oh, blue house, red hill, purple door. Oh, Mike's the guy. He said that he wants duplexes in this area.
Yeah.
So, go as big as you can, right? Because I want to put these properties out and I want to find the person who's willing to pay the most. That's my job. I have a wife, 2 boys, and 3 fat dogs, right? I have got to make money. My kids need shoes and my dogs definitely want dog cookies, right? So, we're in business to generate as much as we can. So the way that we build our buyers list, we look at it 2 different ways. We call it like global list building and then property specific. And I don't know that those are the best words, but they're what I got. Yeah. So we are always marketing for buyers, right? If you're working, in just a local market, which is maybe different from virtual wholesaling, maybe you're putting out bandit signs that say 3-2, good area, must sell today, right? I'm just doing stuff that's going to drive calls into either to me or to my dispo team. I'm doing ads on Facebook. Hey, Nationwide Property Liquidators, we sell properties at 50 to 70% off retail. Give us a call to get on the list, right? I'm just doing marketing that's just constantly kind of generic marketing that's driving people in. And if they're online, maybe it goes to the website, a squeeze page, they opt in, whatever that is.
Let me ask you a question there. So you're going after the national audience because Chattanooga is a pretty good rental market. I mean, you would want people on your list in California, maybe if they're looking to buy rentals Because a
Yeah.
lot of people in California obviously are not buying rentals in California. They go to the
Right.
Midwest or somewhere else where they're
Right.
more affordable, where they can't believe I
Mhm.
can even buy a house for that much.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why you're doing some nationwide stuff, is to attract the kind of turnkey or the rental, the landlord.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll definitely have, and we've got a team of VAs now that do this because, here's what I tell people, when it was just me sitting in the office, me and my wife and my brother, there were a million things I knew that I should be doing. Right. But, life is like you're juggling dynamite sticks every day, right? You can only keep so many up in the air at a time, right? So I knew should be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I knew there were 20 things I should be doing, but I could literally get 3 done during the day. So as you scale out, these are the types of things that you start to put in place for your team. My team does stuff every day that I could never do on my own. So I understand that we're going to talk about stuff and people are like, I can't do that. That's okay. Do the basics. And then as you grow, we're gonna start expanding there. So we'll definitely market in areas that are California, right? For an Ohio property where these guys can get like almost a 2% rent multiplier.
Yeah.
But we're also, we market right now, we're in 28 markets. So our VAs are always dropping ads in there. Hey, nationwidepropertyliquidators.com, go see our inventory. So that's kind of that global list building that we're just always doing in between properties. We always want to be doing some kind of marketing, right?
Yeah.
But then we do very specific property marketing, right? It's 123 Main Street, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, whatever. And that's where we get very, very specific and where we have a very detailed plan. Because when I started, for a long time, it was just me that did all the dispo stuff. And that's great, right? You and me, we're kind of intuitive. We just know what to work, like it's like driving a car. You don't think about it after a while. But when you start to bring people in and you have to train somebody else to do what you want them to do, it can be a challenge, right? So we knew that we needed a system that was that we could implement with pretty much anybody, right? So one of our mottos is simple is scalable, right? I don't want to have the most complicated dispositions plan that looks like a simple mind, that movie poster with all the calculus up there, right? Like I've got to be able to bring somebody in off the street and train them to do this, in a reasonable manner where they can, one, have success, and 2, wrap their brain around it. So anyways, I bring in these 3 girls to start. And I remember coming out of my office one day and having this meeting, and they're all sitting there. And I said, okay, well, how's it going on our properties? What are we doing? There's a little huddle. Well, the first one says, well, we're doing this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Second one, well, I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, oh, okay. And the third one's like, well, I'm doing the other thing, this, that, the fourth thing. And I was looking at them and I'm like, my God, we should be doing 10 things and y'all are doing 6, and you're not even all doing the same freaking 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to get ourselves like a little checklist here and get a little organized. And that's kind of the start of us putting together a program, for dispositions. So, I mean, the stuff that we do, just kind of to rattle it off, first thing we do, very basic, we're putting it on our website. We use InvestorLift, but whatever you're using, put all of the information there. One thing I teach people is, if somebody leaves your website for some reason, 50-50, they're ever going to come back, right? So give people all the information. It's not 2020, 21 anymore. Those days are done. I've saw so many emails and websites that were like, this is a good deal, you should buy it. Like literally that was the information that was put out there. And, our job as a wholesaler is to provide information. And, I want to give somebody, if they're sitting on the couch in California and I've got a deal in Louisville, Kentucky, I want to give them every bit of information that they could ever need to make a buying decision without getting off the couch, right? Yep. So what does that mean? 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, square footage, size of the lot, school district, annual taxes, and then what do I know about the house, right? Oh, it needs an updated kitchen or has a tenant, and here's the rent, here's the security deposit, whatever it is. I want to give them all of that information.
Lots of pictures.
Yeah, pictures, holding your phone sideways, not vertical. Pictures. I want to give them a video. When we send somebody out to do pictures, we'll tell them, I want 50 pictures. I want a picture wide angle from the corner of every room. I'll sort it out later, which one we want to put on there. I want to see underneath the sink. I want to see the fuse box, the water heater, all sides of the house. Like we want as many pictures as we possibly can. I don't want it to be 4 pictures and 2 of them are looking at the floor, right?
Yeah, it's not that you don't want to hide anything, right? And it's not that you want all your buyers to buy it sight unseen because the pictures were so good, but you want them to have the confidence that they could, right?
Yeah.
Because if you just post a couple pictures and you know, in the real estate industry, especially the retail side, is notorious for being misleading. Like, here's a picture of the best part of it, and then you get out there, oh, I didn't know there's train tracks across the backyard. Like, just be open about it so nobody's wasting their time.
Well, that exact thing happened to me. You remember back in 2011 and 12 when REOs were like, they were all flooding the market. Dude, I was putting like 10 offers out a day, just looking at, I'm looking at these 5 pictures, putting a price on it, sending an offer. And I got this property not too far from here. So I zip over there. Our offer was accepted. I run over there to go take a look at it. Mike, I kid you not. I walk in the door. I look to the left, living room. I look up. I could see straight to the blue tarp on the, through the second floor. I'm like, how is this not in the pictures? Like, this isn't new, Like, why hide that stuff, right? We're selling a deeply discounted property. Of course, it needs work, right? So, I'm not in the business of hiding stuff from some people. Now, I'm not, if there's a 1-inch scratch on the countertop, I'm not zooming in on that, right? I want to show you the overall look of the property. And, we just want to be truthful, because all you're going to do is you're really just going to piss somebody off. And when they do come to see it, now they're aggravated, right? Now you've got somebody who's just upset with you. So, I'm on the be honest plan.
And David, are you more of the approach of build up your buyers list and kind of just spray it to everybody that's on your list? Or do you do much with like list hygiene, like actually calling people on your list saying, are you still buying? Do you want to be off of our list? Or there's kind of a couple of trains of thought there of people that do different things.
And everybody's business is different, and they should all just kind of run your deal different. So here's the difference. If there's two models of wholesaling. There's the local model and there's virtual model, right? So if I was just today in Chattanooga and all I did was Chattanooga, 100%, I would grind through that list. We'd be talking to people every single week, right? If I had 5,000 people on there and 4 dispo agents, like we would cycle through it quite a bit. So yes, you should do that. However, if you're on a virtual model, it's a different model, right? This week I'm in Louisiana, next week I'm in Boston, now I'm in LA. You're bouncing around so quickly that doesn't work, right? So, when you're doing that, you need to understand how to build a list very quickly in a market that you've just dropped into, because I may go to, Lafayette, Louisiana one time and not be back there for 6 months.
Right.
I don't know. I may be mostly in Florida. So, depends on your model and how many markets you're in. So if you're in 4 markets and you have 4 dispo people, I would take one of them and put them on, on each city and have them start to build that relationship.
Yep. And let's talk a little bit about dispo managers. So
I
know, I honestly, of all the deals that I've done, I mean, I've assigned lots of properties, but I was more of a rehabber, and then we kind of moved into wholetailing pretty heavy, like way before. In fact, Tim Harridge thinks that I created the term wholetailing. I'm not sure if I did or not, but we were doing that very early on, like probably, 5, 6, 7 years before anybody was talking about it. Just because we just tested it. I was like, my rehabs were like all out, like they were just amazing rehabs. And then one time we sold something that had a bunch of kind of problems on the retail market. And it was just this wake up call of like, wow, it's kind of like there's someone for everyone. It's like, hey, there's people that only know the MLS and they're looking for kind of wholesale deals there. And anyway, long story short, but from the assignment standpoint, we would primarily, I would just have my office manager, like we had a template to follow. We would post them on our website and say, just email it to our list through MailChimp or whatever we were using back then. I don't even know. It's been so long, but we didn't have a dispo manager per se. We would just have somebody in the office do it. And I know that there's also people like Jason, my partner, Jason Lewis, who has relationship managers that literally it's their job to call people, keep checking in. How are they doing? So there's kind of a couple of extremes there. I think a lot of people over the past few years didn't think they needed a dispo manager. It was like, maybe it was their acquisitions manager's job to also sell it, or an admin or a virtual assistant or something. I know you're more in the dispo manager camp. So let's talk about that role. Like what you think is the right fit, and everybody's going to disagree or have a little bit of a difference of opinion, but let's talk about what you think the right kind of model is.
So first off, I think, acquisitions and dispositions, they're different personality types. We want somebody who's money motivated,
Right.
You want somebody money motivated. If you're on a commission only structure, you want people that are good with that. But acquisitions is going to your person over there needs to probably have a higher empathy level, right? Mrs. Smith, your husband died, because over there on acquisitions, you're dealing with calamity all the time, right? Distressed people, distressed properties. Dispo, this is where the sharks live, right? Dispo is over there. Like, you want people over there that want to mix it up with people, because buyers are constantly going to tell you your deal's crap and, you're overpriced, and, because they're professional negotiators too. They are trying to push you down as much as you're trying to push up. So, on the dispo side, I like people that, can kind of give a little bit of give and take with people, and, aren't going to get upset when, the first person tells them that, oh, I don't like that street because it's a junk street. Well, here's what I can tell you. The data shows me that there's been 42 sales within a quarter of a mile, so it's not that bad. But yeah, I'm on the dispo manager plan. That's how we run our company. And again, depending upon where you're at in the terms of the size of your business, they may do all of this, they may do some of it, but we will 100%, the way that we call it launching a property, and it comes from being in the grand opening world of retail. When a property goes out, a lot of things are simultaneously happening on our side. First thing is, it's built out on our website. We use InvestorLift. We were talking about that the other day. It's just a good website, but whatever you're using, right? All of the information, everything that a buyer could possibly need is there. We'll pull from PropStream or Privy or whoever it is that you want to pull your data from. If you don't pay for those, maybe it's List Source, right? But all the details, the property, the zoning, just everything, all of the pictures, all of the videos there. There's a great subject line, because marketing hasn't changed. The idea of marketing hasn't changed in 100 years. The method of deliverability has changed, right? The first step in marketing is, one, we got to get it opened. Right. So whether that's an envelope that you're sending, and we used to send pink invitation envelopes because it looks like a wedding invitation, right? The trick is just getting it opened. Email is no different, right? I got to have a good subject line, and I'm embarrassed that I'm 51 years old and emojis are as big a part of my life as they are, but they are, right? Because if we all look through our email and scroll through, it just looks like a lot of words. Oh, a smiley face, or, eggplant, whatever, right? Whatever craziness you want to put in there. I have to stop people and have a good enough subject line that's going to make them want to open that, right? So that's really important. But all of the information is there. And then at the end of the email, there's some sort of call to action, right? Click the Win It Now button, call me, visit the website, there's something. So we're doing that. We're pulling a list of cash buyers in and around the area. So the email goes out to people that are already in our database, but maybe somebody new has bought something that I haven't talked to them, right? So we'll go to PropStream, we'll pull a list of cash buyers, half mile, whatever that parameter is. We'll skip trace those, and then we're going to send them an SMS blast, right? We're doing that. We're sending RVMs. If you're in some states, don't like RVMs. So if that's the case, don't do it. RVMs, that's so fast. I've got our VAs going out and getting into all of the Facebook groups, right? So if this one is in Boise, Idaho, right? I send them to Facebook and they know to go Boise, Idaho, investors, landlords. We keep plugging in all those things until we find all of those groups. They become a member so that we can post our deal in there. It's going to Craigslist. There might be one more, but everything that we're doing instantaneously when we launch a property, we only send out properties on Mondays and Wednesdays. Within the first hour or two, all of that is going out, and none of that takes a lot of time, right? It's a couple of hours, because what I want to do is drive calls into our team. I want, when we launch a property, for the phone to literally melt. And this happened the other day. We had a property here in Chattanooga, and we emailed it out, RVM'd it, text blasted it. We did all those things. And, Olivia's phone, she could not get off the phone. And the person who bought it's a realtor who she knows me. She messaged me like, Olivia's not answering her text. I want to buy this property. I'm like, well, because her phone hasn't stopped ringing. That's the goal, right? That's what we're trying to do. Because it's easier to sell a deal on an inbound call than an outbound.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're doing that kind of simultaneously. That same list that we pulled for SMS and RVM, we'll take that list, we'll upload it into the dialer. And in between those calls, or until it's sold, they're calling buyers. They're doing that stuff. So again, we're very proactive about going out and finding a buyer, in our market who will buy the property.
Let me ask you one approach that you're seeing in this market. And I don't know if you ever did this, but in, if you go back a year ago, let's say, before rates changed, before the kind of downturn there, a lot of people were selling, and they were creating little auction scenarios where go out to the property, send me your best offer, and they're going to take the highest and best offer after 48 hours instead of just first full price offer wins, right? And I think when the market took a downturn, a lot of people went away from that because like, I just, it actually turned a lot of people off too, right? And I could argue it either way, the power of it. You should be able to get as much as you can for each property, but it turns some people off. And where do you think we're at in that market? I mean, what do you do? And
I've never done that. I hate that like poison because I've been that guy, that puts in an offer on an MLS property and I get highest and best. So as a real buyer, that I freaking hate that. And I know buyers do as well. So, here's my philosophy. One, we run a high-speed wholesale company, right? Like we have an acquisitions team. I'm pointing like you can see through my wall, but like we've got people over there that every day are putting stuff under contract. So, it's like the milk at Walmart. Like the old milk's at the front. I got to move that out because more milk is coming. I'm standing on the wave or on the beach, and there's a constant tidal wave of properties coming at our dispo department. So, one, I just detest that philosophy. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just telling you. All those buyers that you ran up the numbers, they're going to remember because that's a finite period of time. But we've never been on that plan. Our deal is, hey, if we mark it up 20,000 and this is our number, then I'm happy to take it, move that property because I've got another one that I need our team to work on. Like I cannot, toil around on this deal forever because not everything we put under contract is the greatest thing ever, right? We miss the mark a lot of times, right? You don't, there's something you don't know, whatever it is, right? So there are going to be those properties where I need to be spending that time to get it moved. So I'm on the plan. I stole one, in a couple hours. I don't do anything. I have a great team, but our team sold a property in Louisville, Kentucky for full price yesterday or the day, I guess it was the day before. She got one offer. We had 20,000 on it. She got one number that would have been at 19. Somebody called like 15 minutes later and, offered her the full thing. And we just took it. And now that deal's done and we're moving on with life. So
on to the next one. Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I just don't like it because I've been put in that position and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I get it. And honestly, there's a lot of, just like we said, buyers sit on the sidelines. There's a lot of people that just people that were doing that. I understand why they were doing it. I have a bunch of friends.
I get it too.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
But a lot of those buyers either just leave your list or sit on the sidelines. Like, I'm not going to play this game, Yeah,
no, it's aggravating.
I've said for years as an investor, like if you're going after the highest price, like I'm not your guy. If you want it easy and fast, like I'm your guy.
Yeah, I don't begrudge that. And listen, I had people, when we were coming up in Chattanooga who I always knew if I got down to the last day, I could call them and they would close. And I might only make $2 or $3 grand on it, but they were the sure thing, right? Yeah. And we just don't run the bidding wars. I've never really liked that. Now I have had cases where it's just been me showing the property. I've gone out and I actually recorded this one time. I had two buyers and they both walked out of the house with me and said, we both want it. And I'm like, well, guys, I don't know what to do. I guess I could have said, hey, write down your best number. Literally, I told my brother was with me. I'm like, turn on the camera. This is going to be good. And we did a coin toss. I'm like, are you guys both going to be good with this? We will let this be determined by a coin toss. And they were. And one guy bought it. They shook hands. And he said, the other guy said, hey, if you don't buy it, let me know. So yeah, it's just never been our thing.
The first time that happened to me, that's crazy that you say that. Almost the same thing happened to me. And this is one that the seller, we went to show the house. The seller was there, which I hate. We always try to get them out. I can't remember exactly the situation. This is a long time ago now, this one. And they came out, they both wanted it. And one guy said, well, I'll pay you 5,000 more. I went with that guy. The other guy went around our back and contracted it with the seller. And then we clouded the title and we ended up getting it. But yeah. Create some ill will, I guess.
Yeah. So, with Investor Lift, we have, it has your asking price, and then you can do the win it now. So sometimes we'll tell people, hey, this is getting a lot of attention. If you want to just lock it down, you could do the win it now. And that happens, we'll the win it now be like maybe $2 grand over. But yeah, for the most part, we unless we get 4 offers at the exact same price, then we'll say, hey, can you close quick, bigger EMD? You want to offer more? Like, what do you want to do? But as a rule, that's not how we operate.
Sure. Yeah. Well, David, you recently joined InvestorFuel.
Yeah.
I think maybe 4 or 5 months ago now. Came to the last event, and you obviously go to lots of events and do lots of things. Would you mind just sharing your experience or your thoughts on InvestorFuel?
Man, I'll tell you, I do. I'm at a lot of events, probably far too many. I was just really impressed with just the caliber of people that were in the room. I mean, just amazing. The breakout rooms where people have time to, obviously it's a big group, right? It's a collection of some of the best investors in the country. But you have the ability to get into these small groups and the hot seats and really just be open about, hey, here are the issues that I'm having in my company. Because, when you sit in your own little office like this, who can you have that conversation with? You don't want to have it with a competitor in your town. You don't want to bring in your acquisitions guy and say, hey, here's the problem I'm having. So, the ability to have that hot seat, or, just to talk to other people that are doing the same thing you're doing and, get advice and help is really invaluable. And, one thing that a mentor taught me early on was when you go to these events, go there with a list of 2 or 3 things that, like, if I could just get the answer to these 3 questions, my business will change, right? So we're always very intentional about going there and, being in those rooms. Somebody in that room has figured out what is your biggest struggle today. They've already figured it out. And also, conversely, there's somebody in that room has a struggle that you can help with. So really that idea, the true idea of a mastermind is something special that you put together. So I really enjoyed it and looking forward to all the future events.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for that.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you there too. You've added a ton of value. I mean, that's kind of how our group works is you come in and you give, and you're going to get back. I mean, that's just kind of how it works, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in a couple of different organizations, and that's one of the things I'll tell people is if you come in here with the approach of, hey, how can I help other people? You'll be good, right? Because we all have these amazing attributes. And, in a room of 200 people, there are so many people that are good at so many different things, right? Whether it's, I need to figure out lending, or I want to learn how to do storage units, or, like whatever it is, right? Somebody in that room has the answer and they've already done it. And, you're that lifeline for somebody else too. So, that's just always the way we've approached it.
Yeah. Well, David, you do a lot of amazing things. Talking about a lot about dispo today. I know you do some dispo training. You have transaction coordination business. You put out a lot of great content. If folks wanted to connect with you, where do they go to learn more about you?
Yeah, the best place is Instagram, and my Instagram, is it handle? I'm never really sure, right? Is it whatever Instagram? Whatever it is, it's at David Olds REI. So David Olds OLDS REI. And that's for Instagram, and our website is the same thing. But yeah, Instagram, we post a lot on there. We do a lot of lives, and I still answer all of my own messages. So there's that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing so much today. We'll add links down in the show notes here for anybody that's listening and wants to connect with you. So appreciate your time today and your insights.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Everybody, hope you got some great value. Dispo, I won't say that it was never important, but it's more important than ever right now. And being good at that is the difference between maybe survival and thriving right now. So make sure you take some notes from this and go apply that to your business. By the way, if you haven't ever talked to us before about InvestorFuel, we have some amazing things going on. We have an amazing community. We've been running for, at this point, 5.5 years, and we have a lot of new stuff coming up. So if we've talked before and you don't know some of the new stuff we have going on, it might be worthy of another chat. If you've never talked to us, we'd love to talk as well. Just go to investorfuel.com. You can book a call there with our team and learn a little bit more about InvestorFuel and see if it's a fit for you. Until then, we'll see you on the next show. Are you an active real estate investor? If so, and you want to latch on to the power of surrounding yourself with over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors, all committed to building stronger businesses and living richer, fuller lives, you should jump on a call with us to learn more about InvestorFuel. Simply visit InvestorFuel.com to get started.